whatever it is in your life where you feel like, you know, you're almost like on a treadmill, and you're just jogging away but going nowhere, right? You're going to have to get fed up. Like, you're going to have to get to that point where you get fed up. I want to have a heart to heart with those of you out there who have had some success in your life, but as of late, and perhaps even maybe it's been a while, you've had this feeling that things have gotten a bit monotonous and maybe even a bit meaningless. And I know this can be a weird feeling, especially if you're someone, again, who from the outside appears to be doing very well and to have everything. Uh, but there's just something about the way that your life is going right now that doesn't work for you any longer. Maybe it worked for you at some point and you felt a lot of purpose and you derived a lot of meaning from it, but just it's it's not working anymore. Okay, so we're just going to discuss, you know, what you have to do when things have become monotonous and meaningless. So this is Mark Johnson. I am the founder of Bounce Pep, bringing you ideas for a fit and flourishing future. I am the youngest son of Bill Johnson. Thank you to my subscribers. And if you have not subscribed, I know that you want to be subscribed, and I encourage you to do so. So go ahead, find a little button at the bottom of the screen, and just go ahead and subscribe. Very easy to do. And let us jump into this. So, again, I'm talking to people today who have some success in life. Like, you've done well and you have the receipts to show it. There's no doubt about it. You've done very well. And people look at you and they see someone that is a role model. They see someone that they can emulate. They see a model of success, right? Uh, but for you personally, inside, deep inside, you don't feel very fulfilled anymore. It was like at one time you were very excited, and life had a lot of purpose for you, and it just seemed like every day was filled with a lot of meaning. But for whatever reason, those days have passed you by, and you're still doing well, objectively speaking. The problem is you just don't feel that same sense of purpose that you once had. Okay. And this can manifest itself in, just feelings of like monotony and meaninglessness. So, you know, I want to take you back to the gym as we often do. One of the things that is so great about training is that when you go in, you can work on a particular muscle group today, and then maybe tomorrow you work on a totally different muscle group, and maybe in the next 3 or 4 days it's something totally different again. But every time you train, you have the opportunity to change what you're doing. Okay, and you can change your training techniques. It's not only the muscle groups. You can change your training techniques so that there's always an opportunity to keep your training fresh. And so it always feels meaningful because you have so many opportunities to make changes when it's necessary. If something starts getting monotonous and boring, you don't have to keep doing it. This is one of the great things about training. And it's interesting, a lot of people understand this about training, and then they step outside of the gym, and it's like they just forget that they actually have the ability to do that outside of the gym as well. But what happens a lot of times we get into our routines, and I mean that in a bad way. So routines are generally good, but routines can become, you know not very good when you're stuck doing something that doesn't have that meaning that it once had, and everything just feels monotonous, right? And again, you may be doing very well objectively. You may be making all kinds of money or whatever, or maybe it's got nothing to do with money. This is not simply about your work or making money. It could be your relationships maybe have gotten a bit monotonous and meaningless. And so you need to start looking for a way to make those relationships more purposeful, more productive, right? And just so that you get a feeling that you're actually contributing something good to the lives of others, right? So it's not only about what you do for a living. I'm talking about in a really broad sense here. Whatever it is in your life where you feel like you know you you're almost like on a treadmill, and you're just jogging away but going nowhere, right? And again, even though it seems like you're successful and it seems like you're doing very well and you shouldn't have any reason to complain, you don't feel that way. You know, I know how that feels. When I was young, I remember I was working at this company, and I actually created their cost accounting system from scratch. And in the beginning, it had a lot of meaning for me and it was very exciting. But, as time went on, it started to lose the meaning. And I didn't derive the enjoyment, and it started to get very monotonous. And, at that time, I was investing in real estate, and I also had a business that I was, running outside of my job. And so I had to make a decision like, am I going to keep doing this, at this job, this cost accounting, or am I going to basically cut ties there, you know, pivot and do something different? Now, in my case, I didn't have to do something totally different because, again, I was already doing other stuff. It was just a question of, whether or not I was going to really focus on those things and just quit my job. Well, make a long story short, I talked to my higher ups. I told them, it's time for me to make a move. My vice president, he said, just tell me, what I have to do to keep you. And I said, well, I've already decided. I'm moving on. There's, you can't keep me. And it wasn't, there were no hard feelings or anything like that. It was just, I knew it was time to go. And there really wasn't anything that they could do or say to keep me. It was time to move on because I had a different purpose in my life at that time. I just had other things that I needed to be doing at that time. Right. And so I want to talk to you about, these feelings that you may have of monotony in your life, despite the fact that you're doing well. You know, it's just not lighting your fire anymore. I was out walking, I have a little toy poodle, and I was out tonight walking her, and I looked up in the sky and there was a moon. And it's the same moon that I see every night. And that got me thinking, how the moon, they say, is tidally locked with the earth. And so what that means is that, the moon is rotating, like it actually does rotate, but the rate of its rotation is essentially the same as the rate that it's revolving around the earth. So what that means is that the same face of the moon is always facing the earth. So, we can never see the other side of the moon. As long as we're on the earth looking up at the moon, we're always going to look at the same face of the moon every single night. Guaranteed. There's no way to get around it. And even though it's a beautiful sight, it can get monotonous. You look up in the sky and it's the same moon, same face every single night. Some of you are living like that right now, and you know it. You remember that. I don't know if some of you remember that movie called Groundhog Day. I think it was, if I remember correctly, like the early 90s. But the gist of the movie was there was this, I think it was a weatherman, and he had to report on Groundhog Day. So he did his report on Groundhog Day. He didn't want, he didn't even want to be doing the job. But anyway, he did his report. And so the next day he wakes up and it's Groundhog Day again. And all the same things happen again. And then he wakes up the next day and the next day and the next day. And every single day is Groundhog Day. And after a while, he thinks that, or it's just all in his head or something. But like after a while, he realizes that no, he's waking up every single day and it's the same day every day. How many, I mean, if you've ever felt like that, and especially if you feel like that now, then I want you to know that that's actually a problem. Okay. And it's a problem that can be fixed. But a couple things have to happen. Okay. A couple things have to happen. Number one, you have to get fed up with the monotony and the meaninglessness. Until you get fed up, you will stay where you're at. You know why? Because it's comfortable. Even though you don't have that sense of purpose and fulfillment that you once had, it is comfortable. If nothing else, you know how to do it, you understand it, and truth be told, you can just keep doing it indefinitely. You probably could get away with that. But again, where's the purpose? Now, remember what I told you before, okay? There are two levels of aspiration, right? Ambition and purpose. Ambition is what you can accomplish for yourself. Purpose is what you can contribute to the world, your impact on the rest of the world, right? So, at some point, when you're done accomplishing everything that you've wanted to accomplish for yourself, okay, you've been there and done that, and maybe you've even done some great things that have impacted other people or impacted the world in some positive way. But at this point in your life, you don't feel the same. You don't get the same meaning out of it anymore. It's just you're just tired of it. Okay, you're gonna have to get fed up. Like you're gonna have to get to that point where you get fed up. Okay, and once you get to that point, and especially if you're at that point right now, if you're just like fed up, then I can tell you what you have to do. It's the same thing that you do when you train in the gym. You have to decide that you are going to change up your routine and your regimen. In other words, you have to decide that you're going to do something different. You have to decide that you're going to be a different person and do something differently. It's about you have to actually decide. No wishy-washiness, no like you have to make a decision. Without that, nothing will change. You will stay there. So two things. Get fed up and make a decision. The sooner you do these things, the sooner you'll be able to start thinking more about what your true purpose in life should be right now, right? What your true purpose in life should be right now so that you can focus on what that is, start to build some new objectives and some new goals, have some new dreams about what's possible for you. I don't care about what you've accomplished up until this point. If it doesn't have the meaning for you anymore, if it's monotonous and it's boring, it just doesn't do it for you anymore, then it's time for you to make a decision to be someone different and do something differently. Okay? If you're going to do something differently, you're going to have to become like a slightly different person. I'm not saying that you have to totally transform yourself. It may not have to be that drastic, but you're going to actually have to look at yourself and how you've been all of this time and be willing to make some changes about yourself so that you can serve the purpose that you're supposed to be serving. Okay? Because the purpose that you're supposed to be serving right now is not what it was before. Okay? You know it, and I know it. I'm just telling you. But the point that I'm trying to make to you today is just very simple. You've got to get fed up. You've got to get fed up. Okay? And once again, I'm not simply talking about whatever it is that you do for a living to put bread in your on your table. I'm not simply talking about that. For a lot of you, that's what it is, of course, because a lot of us spend so much time working, but it's not necessarily that. It can be other things. Like I said, it can be things about your relationships with people that where, some of your relationships are pointless and you feel like, you aren't doing your best in relationships and you aren't making the contribution that you could make. So maybe that's something that you need to, find that new purpose so that you can improve your relationships, build new relationships, build more purposeful relationships. Maybe it is what you do for a living. I don't know, whatever it is. Okay. But if it's monotonous and meaningless now at this point, okay, get fed up, make a decision to do something different. Okay. So that's my message for you today. Okay. I don't want you to be stuck. Okay. And I certainly don't want you to think that because you've had this success that you've just made it. No, 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 no. You haven't just made it. There's more for you to do. Okay. But you've got to identify your purpose. You haven't just made it. Like, you still got a lot in you. You still have a lot in you, okay, that you can offer the world. So that's what I'm talking to you about today. All right. So that's my message for you. I'm going to talk to you next time. Take this with you. All right. Think about it. Have a great, great day.